Let me turn to Senator Shaheen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations to both of you on your nominations, and thank you both for your willingness to come back into the State Department and continue your public service, which has been admirable on both counts. Ambassador Nuland, I have and have expressed disappointment in the President's decision to set the September deadline in Afghanistan to remove all of our troops. Given that we have a very limited time there, is there anything that we should be looking for in terms of benchmarks that we should try and reach before that September deadline?
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your long commitment to Afghanistan and particularly to the women of Afghanistan. As you mentioned, when we prepare for the U.S. redeployment of forces, that puts an emphasis even more strongly on the diplomatic aspects of our work and on the embassy as the platform for that. So we've really got to bear down on this peace process and on bolstering civilian and economic and humanitarian assistance programs, and particularly those that protect the gains that have been made and the gains of women and human rights. Afghan people, we've got to, as the President has pledged to do, expand and expedite special immigrant visas for those Afghans who helped us. We've got to ensure that as we find a new place to stage our counterterrorism efforts, that we are successful in the diplomacy to establish that, but also in their ability to deploy as needed. I think that we also have to look at our embassy platform, particularly when we don't have military security around it. So I would expect we're going to be coming back to this committee and to the Congress as a whole for more support, and particularly also to get you involved in the diplomacy. I know that's been something you've been willing to do in the past. So watch this space. Thanks.
And can you expand a little bit on post withdrawal strategy with respect to how we can continue to support the gains that women and girls have made in Afghanistan?
Well, Senator, I want to be careful here because I obviously—
Assuming you've been confirmed.
Yes, yeah. I wasn't part of the deliberations, but as you know, we have very robust support programs, assistance programs, civilian training programs for women and girls, both in Afghanistan and outside. I think we need to ensure that our allies and partners are also contributing to that effort, and we have to hold the Afghan government and the Taliban to account for their commitments in this regard. And it needs to be a fundamental measure of whether Afghanistan is making progress or retaining the gains or sliding backwards.
Ms. Zia, I appreciate your mentioning the Women, Peace, and Security Act in your opening remarks. I think it's a very important tool that we have. And I was disappointed that it wasn't used by the previous administration in Afghanistan as they were negotiating with the Taliban. But can you talk about how you'll work with the Office of Global Women's Issues if you're confirmed to ensure that the J family is aligned with the gender concerns of GWE and the GPC?
Absolutely, Senator, and I want to thank you for your leadership on building bipartisan consensus for, greater women's empowerment and ultimately achieving women, peace, and security goals. And I think the Afghanistan example is critical, as you discussed with Ambassador Nuland. I would say, from my own perspective, I think it's very important with this decision for the U.S. to continue to strongly support increased women's participation in the peace process. As you're well aware, women's participation in peace processes, most of which fail, by record of history, makes them 35% more likely to last 15 years or more. This is critical, I think, at the inflection point we find ourselves. It's also critical to take an integrated approach in the State Department. I think since the GWE office was created, and it's been a bipartisan effort with important progress made, it's really critical to recognize this is not the work of one office. So if confirmed, I would certainly seek to further integrate gender equality across the full spectrum of J-family activity, obviously on democracy and human rights, but also on issues like counterterrorism, counter-narcotics, and quite obviously trafficking in persons. So this work is too important, it's too enormous for any one office to accomplish alone, and I certainly would seek to leverage the talent and expertise in J-family to make WPS goals a reality. And I think we have a critical task ahead of us in Afghanistan to make that possible.
Well, thank you both very much. And if you're confirmed, and I assume you will be, I look forward to working with you.